Hockey is back, and what a beautiful time it is. So, let's just hop into it. NHL predictions for this upcoming season. My hair is a mess. Ignore that. We're just going to hop right into it with my favorite team's division, the Metropolitan Division. Last place, I have the Philadelphia Flyers. Look, the goaltending, I don't trust. This team took a major step back last year, and I have a hard time buying what they're selling. In seventh place, I have my favorite team, Pittsburgh Penguins. And look, maybe this placement is a little biased because I absolutely despise the Flyers, but regardless, I still have the Pittsburgh Penguins finishing above the Flyers, but not by much. Maybe by a point or two, because the Penguins' defense is horrific. It's terrible. Tristan Jarry is a hot mess. You still have the major three, of course, with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. Crosby, he'll probably still get 90-plus points because he's Sidney Crosby. He's timeless. But I don't think him alone is going to be enough to fix this team's woes. This, for me, is just, an evaluating young guys like Koivunen, McGroarty, Pickering, guys like that, in hopes that this team can eventually become relevant. In sixth place, I have the New York Islanders. I don't trust their offense. I can't. I think Ilya Sorokin is going to have a bit of a better year than he did last year. I don't know. I think I trust that. I don't know why, but I don't think they're going to get any higher than sixth just because their offense I have a hard time believing in. In fifth place, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets just barely missing the playoffs. And look, the Blue Jackets took really good strides last year. However, the goaltending I'm still a bit questionable of. If this team can get slightly above league average goaltending, I very well could see this team making the playoffs. However, I gotta believe it to see it first. In fourth place, I have the New Jersey Devils making the playoffs as a wild card team. And I have that for the simple reason that they're healthy again. Jack Hughes, he's back and healthy. Without Jack Hughes, you don't win. We saw that towards the end of last year in the playoffs. And I think that they're going to be a good team. I don't think they're going to be a great team, however. I think there are questions about the depth on this team, if you ask me anyways. In third place, I have the Washington Capitals. Look, maybe this is slightly biased, like with the Flyers thing, because I hate the Capitals, but I think that they slightly overachieved last year. I don't think that they're going to fall off to the point of them missing the playoffs or anything. However, I don't think that they're going to be anywhere close to the President's Trophy this time. And I have a hard time believing it. I have them in third, and that's not a shot at them. I just think that there are two teams better, like the New York Rangers. And I know this is going to be ridiculous to say, but look, Rangers missed the playoffs last year because everything went wrong. Simple as that. This year they have a hopefully competent coach in Mike Sullivan. Igor Shesterkin, he's going to be his usual self. And I think that this team is going to rebound in hopes that it's not a total soap opera this year. And that means in first place, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. And look, the Hurricanes, obviously, they should make the playoffs. If they don't, something went horrifically wrong. And I think that this team is really only going to be tested come the spring. However, I don't think that they're going to make it all the way there just because this team doesn't have any superstars, if that makes sense. They don't have a guy on offense that can steal a game that they would otherwise lose. They don't have McDavid and Austin Matthews or Nathan McKinnon or Sidney Crosby or anything like that. Andrei Svechnikov, he's great. He's a very good hockey player, and Canes have a very complete team, but they don't have any absolute superstars. That's just my opinion. Moving on to the Atlantic Division, I have the Buffalo Sabres unfortunately finishing in last place. And man, I feel so bad for putting them down here. But man, you gotta prove it to me first. This team has been so depressing to watch for so long. And it's a shame. It really is. Because I really think that this team could be so fun to watch, but they just don't want to be that for some reason. A team I do not feel bad for putting down here, however, is the Boston Bruins at 7th place. Look, I have loads of questions about this, especially the center depth. If Swayman can be better than he was last year, I could see this team getting anywhere up to 4th. I really could. But for me, the offense is a big question mark. Pasternak, I think, is dealing with some injury. I'm not even totally sure. So it's hard for me to buy what this team is selling right now. In 6th, I really wanted to put this team higher. I wanted to put this team as making the playoffs. But then I took a closer look at the roster and the defense, and I cannot put the Red Wings any higher than 6th place. Look, how many years are we into the Yzer plan? And it still hasn't worked out. And I have a hard time believing that it's going to work out this year. I mean, there are still so many holes on this roster. I love the John Gibson trade. I think that solves one of the many holes that they had last year. But the defense is still a question mark, especially the second and third pairings for me. I don't believe in them. I can't. And here's probably my hottest take of the video. I have the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5th place and missing the playoffs. And hear me out before you click off the video. The reason I have the Tampa Bay Lightning missing the playoffs is because, for one, the team isn't getting any younger. And two, Andrei Vasilevsky, he looked human at times last year. Especially in the playoffs. And I think, a beat-up Panthers team dismantling this team in the first round, it's not a good look. And I have to go with I can only go off of what I've most recently seen. And I'm going with the Panthers I'm going with the Lightning to miss the playoffs, sorry. In 4th place, I have the Montreal Canadiens making the playoffs. Look, last year, great year for them. They have a lot of young talent. Lane Hudson is great. I love Gold Caulfield. I think if Kirby Dach can be a 20-goal scorer, I think this team is going to have a really good year, and I could see them finishing in 3rd place, for crying out loud. But I have to believe it to see it. This is a wait-and-see team for me. I still think they'll make the playoffs. It's a very young team. We'll see. In 3rd place, I had the Toronto Maple Leafs. Look, Mitch Marner, probably the biggest trade of this offseason. Great player. I think, didn't he get 100 points last year, if not very close? He's gotten very close a few times, and I know he hit 100 points, I think, last year. It was either last year or the year before. However, this was also something that needed to happen for the Leafs. And although I don't think that they'll have the same offensive output as they have in previous years, I do think that the goaltending is going to be enough to make up for that. Because who saw Anthony Stolarz being a Vezina candidate last season? I didn't. Well, that was until he got hurt. And then he was still great. He was still spectacular. So I have a lot of faith in that goaltending tandem. I think Woll is also a really solid backup. In 2nd place, I have the Ottawa Senators. And look, it's a young team, a young physical team. I love Brady Tkachuk. I love Tim Stützle. I love what this team is doing. I like what they're doing. I think especially if Linus Ullmark can be even half a step better than he was last year, I think this team has a really good chance to do something special. I really do. I'm a believer in the Senators, and I never thought I'd say that, but I am. And that, of course, leaves the Florida Panthers in first place. And look, it's hard for me to not put them here just because we've seen them do it. They obviously didn't win the division last year, but that didn't matter. That obviously didn't matter. And I know they're dealing with injuries right now. Of course, Chuck being hurt, and I think Ekblad is the other one. Or no, Barkov. I think Barkov is the other. Either way, this team has injuries, but you know why they won back-to-back Stanley Cups? Because they have great depth. They have great depth, and Sergei Bobrovsky has been spectacular for them for a few years now. Moving on to the Western Conference, starting with the Pacific Division. In 8th place, I have the San Jose Sharks. And look, the Sharks, they're still a young team. They're still growing. I don't think this is their year to compete. This is, like I said with the Penguins, this is, see what the younger guys have. You hope guys like Macklin Celebrini, Will Smith, you hope guys like them can grow. You gotta... I can't put them any higher than 8th right now. I could see them maybe getting 6th, but I think that's a bit of a stretch. 7th place, I have the Seattle Kraken. This team is a lot of ifs for me. Jared McCann has the scoring ability. We've seen it in the Kraken's offense. He scored 40 years when they made the playoffs that one random year. And look, I can't trust, especially, I don't trust that team's depth, first and foremost. And then, I love Joey Decord, but I don't love whatever the heck is going on at the backup spot. They're going to be giving up 4 or 5 goals every 4 or 5 games, and that's not a good thing when your offense doesn't have the ability to score that many goals a game. Moving on, we've got 6th place in the Calgary Flames. I love Dustin Wolf, but the problem is this team doesn't have enough talent. It doesn't have enough talent. I don't think that even their first line is good enough to compete with some of the other teams in the Western Conference, and especially their own division, and that's why I have them in 6th. This was really hard for me, the 5th place team, because I really could see this team finishing in 4th or 3rd even. I think that might be a bit of a stretch, but still. I'm putting the Ducks here, and I don't feel great about it. And admittedly, maybe I should have put them a spot higher. But for me personally, I didn't love the Joel Quenneville hire. And maybe that's just me. I didn't personally like it. But prove me wrong, Anaheim. Prove me wrong. I want to see you prove me wrong. I really do. In 4th place, I have the Vancouver Canucks, and I don't feel good about it. And I'm going to tell you the reason I put the Canucks over the Anaheim Ducks. They're not making the playoffs, the Canucks. They're not making the playoffs. However, I trust the goaltending more than I trust Anaheim's. I trust Thatcher Demko more than I would assume Lucas Dostal. Thatcher Demko has proven that he can play at a high level. And Lucas Dostal, make no mistake about it, I don't think he's a bad goaltender. I think he's a very good goaltender. But I trust Thatcher Demko behind that defense more, if that makes sense. Again, don't think the Canucks are going to be a playoff team, but I think they are going to be better than the Ducks. Not by much, maybe by a point or two. I don't know. In 3rd place, I had the LA Kings. And look, here's the thing with the Kings. We've seen past, 3-4 years, they've gotten killed by the Oilers. And I was honestly surprised their coach didn't get fired. Sort of. But, it's not a good look right now. And unfortunately, The team that's killed them the past 3 or 4 years in the playoffs, I have them facing again in the first round because I have the Edmonton Oilers in second place. So, yeah, if all that comes true, oh man, I'm sorry, LA. I don't hate you. I really don't. I'm also a bit concerned about Darcy Kemper, but I'm more concerned about Stuart Skinner. But I trust the Oilers' offense more than I trust the Kings' offense. And in first place, my President's Trophy winner, I have the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, trading for Mitch Marner should make that top line even better than it was last year. And I think overall, I think the Vegas Golden Knights are going to be a really good team, man. They always are. It annoys me, but they always are. And hey, at least they can't take advantage of the LTIR loophole. So that's good. Moving on to the Central Division. We've got Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah, is anyone surprised? Connor Bedard is being wasted there, I fear. And in all honesty, it's not a good look for Chicago right now. There's not much there to get excited about. There really isn't. It's going to be a bad team. It's going to be a bad team. That's pretty much all I have to say about Chicago. I'm sorry. In seventh place, I have the Nashville Predators, and woof. I don't trust the defense at all. The defense outside of Roman Josi is a mess. Jose Saros, I still think he's a very good goaltender, but he has to get back to that elite form that we've seen from him in the past if the Predators want any chance of going far. If they want any chance of making the playoffs, he has to get back to that elite form and stay there. And as for the offense, I love Luke Evangelista, but I don't love him as a second line winger. I think he's much better as a third line winger. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Predators. Now, this is unfortunately a team that I really, really wanted to put higher, because I love this team's direction. However, for me, this is a wait-and-see-it team. The Utah Mammoth I have in sixth place, just barely missing the playoffs. Look, I love the direction this team is going. I love Clayton Keller. Dylan Guenther, I like, along with some other young pieces like Logan Cooley. I think if Karel Vejmelka can take a slight step forward than where he was last year, when he was already pretty decent, this team will absolutely be a playoff team. But as I said, it's a wait-and-see-it team for me, personally. In fifth place, making the playoffs, just barely, I have the Minnesota Wild. This team is Kirill Kaprizov. Simply put. Philip Gustafsson, yes, he's a very good goaltender. They just paid him for a good reason. But this team lives and dies with Kirill Kaprizov. If Kirill Kaprizov is on the ice, you will win games. If he is not, you are not going to win games. It is as simple as that. We saw it last year for a decent chunk of time. I think the Minnesota Wild are going to make the playoffs, but they're probably going to get bounced in the first round, unfortunately. In fourth place, making the playoffs, I have the St. Louis Blues. I think the St. Louis Blues are a very balanced football team. God, I'm thinking about the NFL right now because I'm recording this on Sunday. You're probably going to see this Tuesday, so I apologize. A very balanced hockey team. And in all honesty, I think they have pretty decent goaltending in Jordan Binnington. Love or hate him, he's a good goaltender. But I don't see him finishing higher than the Winnipeg Jets, who I have in third place. And like I said with the Capitals before, I think this team slightly overachieved. I think they overachieved a bit. I trust Connor Hellebuck to keep him in the playoff race. I think he's going to backstop him to the playoffs. Real question is, how well does he in particular do come playoffs? This team is still very good, I think. But I think they did slightly overachieve last year. In second place, I have the Colorado Avalanche. Look, this is the first year back. This is a very good team. You have Gabriel Landeskog back. That's exciting. Nathan MacKinnon, he'll always win you a few games. Mackenzie Blackwood was a pretty good acquisition last year. Of course, Cale Makar, Devon Toews. It's a good team. It's a good team. And they're going to be a very good team. And I think they're going to get second place and just barely be behind the Dallas Stars. This is the epitome of a balanced team. I think they can roll out 4 lines. I like the defense. I love Jake Ottinger. Make it past the Western Conference Finals, though, first. So, there you go. Those are my predictions. Let's get into awards and my Stanley Cup winner. Hart Trophy. The big 3, of course, are Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McJesus, and Austin Matthews. But I didn't want to pick one of them. I wanted to be a bit obscure. Because, admittedly, maybe some of my other picks not going to be as hot. So I wanted to go a bit hot with this one. For the Hart Trophy, I also have not thought about this at all. I'm going with Kirill Kaprizov. Screw it. He just got paid. Wild just paid him. And he's going to have a monster year. I'm calling it now. He's going to score 50 goals. 50 goals, 63 assists. And he'll have a Hart Trophy-worthy season. Norris Trophy, Best Defenseman. Again, have not thought about this at all. If I could give it to a defensive defenseman, I would. However, offensive defensemen just get more recognition because they score more points. I'm going to go with Miro Heiskanen. Do I feel good about it? No, because someone like Cale Makar will probably win it. I'm going with Miro Heiskanen. I like Miro Heiskanen a lot. I think he's a very good defenseman, and I think he's going to win this award. Rocket Richard, who's going to score the most goals? It's really hard for me to not say Austin Matthews, so I'm going to say Austin Matthews here. Piping hot take, I know. Calder? Give me Jimmy Snuggerud. I like this kid a lot. I think he has a lot of potential, and I think being on a good Blues team is also going to help his case. So, yeah, I'll go with him. Best coach? Ooh. Best coach. If the Ducks make the playoffs, I would not be surprised if Joel Quenneville got it. However, I think this is going to go to Mike Sullivan. Given where the Rangers were last year and where I think they will be, I think Mike Sullivan is going to take home this award. That's really all the awards that I really want to talk about. I guess I can talk about who's going to win the Selke. It'll be, well, I don't know. I'll just go with Pasternak. Let's assume he's going to be healthy all season. He's going to win it. Why? I don't know. Just a hunch. Stanley Cup predictions. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup? Who's going to compete in the Stanley Cup? This year, it's going to be the Dallas Stars. I think they're going to get past the Western Conference Finals. I think they're going to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Who they're facing off against is a bit tougher for me, because I think this Eastern Conference is very competitive. And I can make a case for a good chunk of teams here. I'm going to go with something a bit bold. I'm going to go with the New Jersey Devils here to represent the Eastern Conference. Do I trust it? No. No, but I'm doing it anyways. Because I want to be a bit bold, I don't want this to just be me picking the favorites. That's boring. So I'm going to go with the Stars and the Devils. And I'm going to go with the Yeah, I'm going to go with the Stars. I think they're. I'm going to go Stars in 7 because 7 games is most exciting. And I just think, Panthers, they're already really beat up, so I don't think they're going to make it again. It's really hard to make it to 3 straight, and especially win 3 straight. Just ask Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't know, man. I have a hunch about the Stars this year. I think they're going to get over the hump, finally get past the Eastern Conference Finals, assuming they don't play the Oilers. I I have faith in them. I don't know why. But anyways, I guess that'll do it for this one. So don't die. Go Penguins.